Alright, Mekone turned 13. We finished research in alteration for level 2 for stone skin. Now we're working on enchantment to get personal regeneration for our titan. We found a magic site, and it's not a fort. So yeah, the free fort quest continues. We had some unexpected events. So yeah, we found some fire gems. We got a sage. So this is cool. If there might be a site nearby, the Library of Time, which would be great because we do not have astral. And yeah, it provides like really good astral mages if you can find it. It's not always present, but yeah, it's cool that he showed up this early. I had another playthrough where I think we had this event like, I don't know, turn 60 or something, pretty late in the game. So I don't know if luck, governs, guys like this showing up earlier, possibly. Maybe we'll take a look and see if we have the luck scales in this province. And then yeah, we found some more gems, so that's cool. And then yeah, this is the death match. So you see, not a lot of people participated. Tianchi here, and Sabalba and Alm. And so yeah, it's just Tianchi just sent a mounted commander who, is just like a regular independent recruit, like human guy. Not particularly great, but like low cost. He beat this Batab here, who is I think a national commander for Zabalba, but clearly not good enough. I guess we can take a look at this thrilling battle at least. So this is like the arena where all arena battles take place, and yeah, I don't think there's anything too special. There are two different types of arenas. Yeah, so the bats don't have a ton of health, so yeah, actually like the humans have decent amount more HP, so yeah, he's able to one-shot them there. And then yeah, so for the prize, we have mounted commander up against a warrior chief, who normally I feel like, if you've seen my own playthrough, like these warrior chiefs are pretty good. However, I think this one engaged in some sort of drunken bet or something, because he is wielding a black steel tower shield, which means he cannot use his normal weapon. It's a two-handed sword. So instead, he's just got his fist. So he is just going to try to punch his way to victory. I'm not really sure what Alm was thinking here. Possibly, this commander, sometimes you can just find random gear, like, an independent province that you clear out, will just have some gear on them, and then your guys will pick it up, and it's pretty easy to miss that, like, oh wait, crap, like, they picked up XYZ gear. So I'm assuming this is something that he just picked up. Hopefully this isn't something that was given to him, because yeah, it's considerably difficult, considerably more difficult to win with a fist instead of his normal sword. So yeah, you can see this is generally like the kind of matches you see in the vanilla arena. Some pretty low commitment and just random stuff. So yeah, I won't speed this thrilling. Even with this fist, he's getting some damage, but yeah, his morale breaks. Maybe he's sobered up. So yeah, Tianchi wins the arena with just a mounted commander. So that was well done. He probably guessed that not a lot of people would commit, and so yeah, just minimal commitment, and he got an item out of that at least. So that's good. In fact, I think it'll at least tell us the name. Yeah, the champion's Curious. So yeah, I don't know, how good this item is, but hey, for the risk of a mounted commander, I'd say definitely worth it. So yeah, it's something to consider maybe for the next arena. Send like one of our regular human commanders. And then yeah, we had some patrolling, we had some starvation. Unfortunately, this is our army that's massing. Yeah, supplies can just be an issue in general. Particularly, I think this province, it doesn't have a ton of supplies, doesn't have a ton of population. This can be a problem with any large armies, but I feel like especially like the giants. I forget how to see the exact supply count for specific units, but giants tend to take more supplies than their human counterparts, although we have a fairly big army here, like a lot of peltasts and etc. So yeah, this army is moving out to attack Hinnom, like as per the plan. There is an army here in the capital, but it's not too large. These Avite swordsmen are pretty good. They're solid giant troops, but I don't think they're going to be enough to stand up against our Gigantes. So it really kind of depends. These armies are casters, so depending on how much research he has, and then combining with his PD on his capital, that could be a little risky. Well, no, it's definitely risky. But we're going for it because, I think Hinnom is only going to get stronger. They're a nation that can get into blood, and they've expanded pretty well, probably a little better than us. So I just feel like, they're likely tied up with Marverni. Still haven't found his bull yet. So moving a scout down towards Marverni's capital to see, like, maybe it's down there. Is there, this seems a little small to be his entire army. So I'm thinking that there might be another force down here on Marverni. So yeah, sending the scout down this way to try to verify that. But yeah, we're gambling on this. And we're actually... So we're not building a fort. Let's see, where's our guy? Yeah, this guy's on the move. Yeah, and then our other polo mark here is going after this other Hinnom province to attack in the north. But yeah, we're not building another fort. We're building more troops now because we had this show up on our border here with Ulm. And I actually contacted Ulm because, this is a little concerning, especially like on the eve of like trying to go to war with Hinnom. Ulm was relatively small and seemed pretty weak, so I hadn't really sought out a nap with them yet. Because I was thinking, well, possibly like a future target. But yeah, definitely not ready to go to war with them yet. So offered a nap, and they declined. So in all likelihood, this army, it could go and attack Niflheim. But yeah, the fact that, he's refusing a nap, you never know. Some players just don't like naps. But yeah, probably going to be attacking us. So yeah, going through with this war against Hinnom, because we haven't declared it. Like, we could still back off at this point, and redirect this force northwards towards Ulm, who is a legitimate target. Like, they're not really ideal, I think, in a lot of ways for Mekone. Because especially like our giant hoplites tend to rely on protection. And a lot of the Ulmish troops can deal like quite a bit of damage and cut through that, and kind of get the numbers on them. So it's not necessarily the best matchup for Mekone, and would be a bit of an awkward war to prosecute. Assuming we grabbed like this province as well, that's not terrible. We'd at least be 2 provinces wide. I'm pretty sure Kalem has this one. Maybe not. Maybe Ulm does. I can't remember. But yeah, Ulm is like right here. I don't know. We would be pretty weird and awkward and tall, so I don't love the idea of taking this war with Ulm. I don't really want their territory yet. This feels like, if we can grab something like this, this feels a lot more defensible. So yeah, don't really want to take this war. Now, you don't get to choose, so we're going to risk the 2v1 here, which, is something in my first, playthrough that I recorded. I was really worried about getting into a 2v1, like, kind of, for a lot of the game, as I really wanted to avoid it. And, for this game, I was thinking, well, I haven't actually, been in a 2v1 before. Let's see how bad it is. Part of it is, again, this Ulmish army, like, it's mainly archers, which, if you see my other video, like, archers aren't great in general in Dominions. Like, they definitely have some niche uses. Like, they can be good, and especially like massed in big numbers, they can be pretty effective. Like, especially if I was throwing like, a big group of peltasts at these, an army like this, like, archers would be bad news. But for a lot of our troops, like, they're essentially immune to archer fire. Like, these guys, they'll take chip damage periodically, but largely, especially like with their really good shields, they're gonna be fine. Like, these human hoplites, the heavily armored ones, their protection is good enough that, like, archer fire just isn't really going to bother him that much. So yeah, it's sort of like, okay, mainly archers, and then heavy infantries. Neutral heavy infantries is the second largest component of this force. 100 units, like, that's a lot of guys, but that's not the end of the world. Iron warriors are a bit rough. They're pretty heavy hitting, like hard hitting, two-handed weapon guys, and then axe warriors and forest warriors are kind of just like normal troops who are good. So don't get me wrong, like this is a large army and it'll combine with this in all likelihood if it does attack, and is certainly a threat. However, our Titan is awake, right? This is kind of why I took the Titan imprisoned. It was maybe really more for, it's like, oh, okay, we're getting like rushed or something and we're in trouble, and now she comes out in turn 12 and can turn things around for us. I wasn't really envisioning her being used to sort of fend off like a second opponent while we go rush down someone else, but it seems like a decent use of her. So yeah, so we're forging some equipment for her. Let's see, this Shield of Valor, let's see if we can... It's pretty good. It's a little pricey, so it's 10 gems, but it just gives air shield, and is a pretty good shield anyway. And so air shield is going to block, I think it's like 80% of projectiles. So even without really good protection, most of that missile fire from those archers just aren't going to matter for her. And to the end of protection, we've given her like full black steel, so she got protection 28 even before like giving her the shield, so that's just going to go up. So with really strong protection, we're going to have personal regeneration done fairly quickly. She's got a lot of hit points. She's going to be regenerating. She's going to have a really good protection score. She's going to have, be protected against missile fire. We're forging one of these God Slayer spears, which is the type of spear that our polemarchs get, which is good at going after sacreds and gods, because it does this extra fatigue damage, puts them to sleep basically. This was probably a mistake. I'm not sure why I chose to forge this one. This ends up sitting in the armory a fair amount. It's not the worst weapon, but it's not so good like against masses of troops. That said, she's mostly going to be relying, so she gets this poison cloud. And Ulm doesn't have any built-in like poison resistance or anything like that. They do have a lot of nature mages, so absolutely, like, they can, if they get the research for it, they can cast like protection from poison. But it's still pretty early, so it's unlikely, and especially like they're going after Mekone, not a nature power, generally not really using poison, so he really doesn't have any reason to expect it. Now, he may have scouts, on my capital, although, again, one nice thing about Mekone is because we always have to be patrolling to get that unrest down. And this isn't a ton of patrollers, so certainly a scout could slip in, but we're a lot more likely to have caught any scouts that have been attempting to, take a look at what's on our capital. So there's a good chance he doesn't know what we have. And so she really just needs to hang out, and poison everybody that's around her. So, potentially, like, this is just to counter any elites that she finds, and this would definitely be better, against any kind of elites that Ulm can throw, which they usually don't. They usually just mass like a lot of like pretty solid human infantry. So anyway, yeah, this is maybe not the best kit for her, but that's what I went with. And then yeah, getting her some bracers of protection, which is going to provide even more like protection. And then I think like a stone bird for just sort of some extra attacks. Way to like deal more damage to all the chaff that's going to be surrounding her. So yeah, looking at like, well, what he's going to be coming in with. Now, unfortunately, we're not quite ready. Right, so let's see here. Yeah, we're going to need 2 turns for enchantment, which is kind of sad because, yeah, if he goes like 1, 2, and then he's kind of loose, right? If he makes it here, the Wood of Many Paths is aptly titled in this case. There's a lot of connections here. So, if he made it into here, it's going to be kind of annoying. He could raid out like all over the place. And if he breaks this force up, like our Titan is going to be relatively slow in terms of like, it's only going to be able to recapture one province at a time. So we will definitely suffer in a raiding war, and Ulm definitely like can raid, although not with heavy infantries, because most of their national troops are stealthy, but again, like these guys are not, so it doesn't really look like he's going for like a stealthy approach, you know what I mean, just like marching a big old stack next to my border. It's like a pretty traditional way to attack, and so I think it's unlikely that he's like going to be trying to elf me, which, you know, Ulm definitely can do, but just doesn't really. This kind of attack kind of looks like he's just going to build up a big old stack and then just walk at my capital, you know, which is absolutely like a valid, you know, right? That's our strategy right here. So yeah, I mean, it's a valid strategy, but I think in this case we'll be pretty well protected by our Titans. So we'll see. I mean, you know, I took her dormant. Like, this is kind of what she's for. So, you know, let's roll the dice and walk into a 2v1. What could possibly go wrong? So yeah, that's the majority of it. Let's see, pulling these guys back. Because yeah, it's looking like, you know, probably this is coming. We'll see. Maybe not. Vanheim's flag popped up here, which I believe was like Niflheim territory. So it looks like Niflheim is getting attacked by some elves. So possibly Ulm is looking to jump in on that. I think, yeah, Niflheim's capital is right here. So, I mean, he's only 2 away from Niflheim's capital. So, like, absolutely could go somewhere else. But the fact that he refused the nap really is like a pretty big red flag. But I've kind of shown my hand here to Hinnom. So if I don't launch the attack this turn, there's a good chance he's pressing some panic buttons, you know, and so I'd probably need to sign a nap, or at least much delay this war with Hinnom, and then, you know, focus on attacking Ulm, which again, like I said, is not, I'm not really, I think it would leave me in a bit of an awkward position and isn't necessarily the best matchup. Not that, I mean, I'm not really sure like how good of a matchup Hinnom is for Mekone, so we'll see. Yeah, we've talked about research, and yeah, I think that covers turn 13. All right, Mekone turn 14. So yeah, Ulm did indeed attack, so that's not too surprising. We got a little bit of site searching with our sage, who failed to find the Library of Time yet again, which is sad, but maybe eventually. And then, yeah, so let's take a look. You know, this is just our PD, a little bit more than normal, because, yeah, this is a more valuable province, so, but it, you know, it's pretty lame PD. It's not going to be able to stop, you know, like 100 Ulmish troops. So, yeah, he just sort of has like a grab bag. I think maybe this is like a double line or like 2 lines of just kind of like really just a mix of stuff. So he's got some like heavy infantry mixed in, fewer actually than the scouting report would seem to suggest. Maybe he split some off, or, you know, I mean, he really does have like so many different types of troops. Certainly the archers are like the largest contingent of like a single type of troop. But yeah, so he's got some of his sacreds in here as well. And so yeah, not sure they're blessed, at least larger, which is actually like pretty good, I think, for Ulm. At least in terms of like what, you know, these sacreds want. So yeah, there's the blessings. Let's take a look here. Yeah, so just looks like 1 HP and larger. So not really sure about the solitary HP. I mean, it's never bad to have a little bit more. It might push him up into the next regeneration bracket. Not 100%. I can't ever remember if you need to be, you know, at the breakpoint or over. But yeah, so that HP might be to push him into a better bracket for regeneration. But yeah, I mean, you know, larger is not the worst bless for these guys. They kind of suffer from like having issues with attack density, and larger will definitely like hurt that, because now you can fit fewer of them in a square. They go from size 2 to size 3, but it does kind of capitalize on some of their strengths, you know, which is just that, like, you know, they're really heavy hitting, they deal a lot of damage, and so yeah, enlarged is just going to, you know, increase their strength. And so they're going to be doing even more damage, like 29 damages. That's a lot. That's going to be able to cut through like even our most heavily armored Giganti hoplites pretty easily, actually. I think they're at like protection 21. So yeah, otherwise, you know, I mean, it's all the same stuff for Ulm's Sacreds. Like, their skills are good, but not great. You know, their hit points are good, but not great. And large does help with that. So these are pretty good, actually. Like, now you're basically approaching sort of like half giant HP. Yeah, so you can see like a giant typically has like 30 HP. So for like which is, a nation of half giants, you see a lot of units, sort of in the 20 HP range. So this is double what like a normal, like for instance, if we just take our bog standard heavy infantry here, 10 hit points. So yeah, I mean, these guys are pretty scary, and he doesn't have a ton of them in this army, like a few mixed in, but yeah, so this is going to be a little nasty, and like, that is enough damage to cut through like even our Titan's protection, because I think she's sitting at like 28 or maybe 30 protection with those bracers of protection. So yeah, like those guys could definitely cause some problems, if they surrounded her and really started to get a lot of attacks in. That said, I mean, with the regeneration and everything, I think she would still be able to take this force on. But anyway, yeah, our PD, no way. So yeah, so here begins the 2v1. And so yeah, so we attacked out against Hinnom, who we actually want to be fighting. I believe this is our, so we sent our Polomark with just a little bit of Bone Tribe that we recruited, and then our High Priest, who can get the blessing on him. And yeah, we're actually up against Bone Tribe here. So yeah, we'll see. Our Polomark is lagging a little bit far behind. Maybe should have forward positioned him, but I mean, the Bone Tribe are kind of here to just soak up. So, and I think it's looking like our Bone Tribe is going to handle their Bone Tribe without too much trouble. Well, no, we are taking some losses here for sure. And our Polomark is going to actually get up and get into combat here. So yeah, you can see like he immediately gets a kill, like pretty high attack. Wow, it's been, no, interesting. It hasn't been boosted by Blood Surge yet, so maybe he didn't get that kill. I thought he did. It could have been from a javelin. Yeah, no, he doesn't have Blood Surge active yet. There we go. Now he got a kill. So yeah, maybe missed with that first one, but yeah, these guys are going to kill pretty frequently, so they're going to be triggering that Blood Surge. Although in this case, like, I don't think we really needed the Polomark here. I think probably our Bone Tribe would have been enough. And I mean, certainly like raiding with, small groups of regular units, is totally viable, right? Like, it's a really low commitment strategy. It's like if you lose it, it's not a big deal. But especially if you have like some better troops, like Bone Tribe or something, or maybe your national troops are pretty good, or even if they're not that good, in sufficient numbers, usually like 20 or 30 is enough to overwhelm like most of like the kind of PD investments that you're going to see out of players. So in this case, like, I don't really even think we needed our Polomark. He got some kills, definitely, so maybe. Certainly would have been a lot dicier had he not been there. He probably could have soloed this, but, Bone Tribe can be a little scary, so, it doesn't hurt to have, like, a little bit of extra help for him. Not too much, since, we don't want these guys to rout off and then rout him, but I think this is probably a good amount of help for him. So yeah, that went well. And then let's see, this is our main force moving out. Not really expecting any resistance here. Yeah, there is like one random, so this is Hinnom's Sacred, although I don't think he's going to be able to get blessed, because I don't think they get, yeah, this is regular commanders, so they don't get a priest, at least at this level of PD investment. But, I mean, they're pretty tough, I mean, like, they have more hit points than our giants. So they're size 5 giants, so larger than ours. Our guys are size 4. And then they get 2 attacks. Like, they're going to have a little more strength. Our skills are maybe better. Let's see, 13, 15. What are our guys? Yeah, 14, 16, although, our guys have some experience, so it's not totally fair. Pretty similar, actually, yeah. And then, yeah, they get 2 attacks. But, I mean, we're going to outnumber them, generally speaking. I mean, certainly here. So you can see, like, in the numbers that we can bring, like, our guys. And here's, I think, some of these, yeah, Avite Swordsmen. So this is a lot. Well, this guy's pretty messed up. This is probably maybe, like, from some fighting with Marverni, because these, I don't think, are coming from the PD. The PD generally doesn't have, they don't have any afflictions. They get generated anew for each combat. So this is probably, like, some sort of failed expansion, or, battle against Marverni that didn't work out, and just sort of the remnants of that force. But anyway, yeah, these Avite Swordsmen make up the majority of the force in its capital. We can see, like, they're not bad. So they're only size 3 giants, so, kind of half giant-ish. But, you know, solid skills, like good strength, like, you know, good damage. Like, yeah, these are decent troops. But yeah, I mean, you know, we badly outnumber them here. And you can see, like, you know, so we outnumber them. And again, this is part of, like, the formation fighter, right? Like, we can fit more of our units. Well, in this case, actually, because they're only size 3, we can fit the same amount of units in the square that they can. But, you know, our guys are bigger and better. So, yeah, I think that bodes well for future combats. And then we had some unexpected events. So yeah, we gained a lab. This can be really nice because, yeah, I mean, you know, a free lab. Now, ideally, this isn't a place where we'd like to build a fort. Otherwise, it's kind of so-so because, yeah, unforted labs can be used by invaders, which is not great. So this is kind of a downside. Not a downside, but yeah, this part of luck can be problematic because, you know, if you're picking up laboratories, you just tend to pick up laboratories all over your territory, and you can't really fort all of them. You usually don't want to fort all of them. So yeah, so you sort of end up having like a decent number of unforted labs just loose in your territory, which I personally don't love. But, you know, a free lab can be crucial in a place where you do want a lab. And we got a true shot longbow, so that's cool, you know, a few gems and everything. And then let's see, yeah, and then this is actually really nice, plus 20 province income, so that province is just going to generate 20 more gold, you know, every turn, which is really, really nice. This is a really good event. So yeah, and then, yeah, we had some promotions. So yeah, and I mean, you know, but it doubled the income of this province, which is not a great province, but still, like, double the income. That's really nice. So yeah, so we're continuing our advance. We're just going to go straight for the capital, right? Like, things aren't really going to improve here for us, especially like now that we're getting attacked by Ulm. Like, we're not really going to be able to send like many reinforcements to this army in all likelihood. So I mean, the longer that we take to strike, you know, whether or not we can take this, the bull doesn't appear to be here. Now, we don't have like full vision, unfortunately, so the bull could be coming to reinforce this. And this is Marverni's capital down here, and we can see that it's not under siege, so the bull is not down here. And, you know, there's no like additional Hinnom army, at least, you know, besieging Marverni's capital, so that's maybe good news. I'm not really in touch with any of Hinnom's other neighbors, so I don't know if he's fighting any other wars, so it's not impossible that his army is out, you know, kind of on these edges of his territory and now headed back. But from when I was moving my scouts through, I didn't see any other army out here, so it is possible that, you know, this is all that he has right now. I mean, certainly has been fighting Marverni, you know, and I mean, based on the fact that we just saw a couple random units there in this province, like, he has taken some losses. The fact that there's like this single sacred here also suggests that, you know, there's been a loss, you know, and remnants of his army have just been scattered and he hasn't had time to collect them yet. So hopefully we've hit him at exactly the right time, you know, and he doesn't really have a whole lot to defend with. Or, you know, we're headed right into a trap and we're going to get hit by all of his casters, you know, and the forces that are there on the capital, and, you know, his bull and or army coming in to reinforce. So we're just gambling. Ideally, we would have more scouts, and this would be less of a gamble, but we don't. So yeah, we're going to take a shot because, like I said, you know, it's not likely that our situation is going to improve. And then, yeah, we are going to clear out this independent province here with our polemarch. I am a little bit worried about PD dump here. Like, this is a really obvious, like, raiding move. And if it was me, like, I would probably PD dump, or maybe not split off forces from the capital, because, you know, you got to try to stop this. But yeah, it's certainly not impossible that, like, he dumps here. And I am not 100% sure that this guy could take on, like, you know, a full PD dump. I can't remember. I think it might also be Bone Tribe in this, or this is just remnants. But regardless, so, and I do want to clear this out. And then also, we can use this polemarch to start counter-raiding, possibly, against Ulm. Which, you know, could become really important here, because obviously, like, Ulm is out for blood, you know, and is going to be sending this force, you know, at least into our territory. So, you know, having him available to do some counter raiding against Ulm will be really nice. So yeah, and we need to clear this out anyway. So yeah, going for that. Yeah, and so we're just pulling like our militia and everything. Missed the pelt test. That's too bad. But yeah, just pulling everything like out of the path of this army. Like none of this stuff is going to be able to stop that. So yeah, and then recruiting troops in the capital, and then still working on our research. I think, yeah, next turn we will get enchantment 2, which will give us personal regeneration. So we'll be able to send our Titan out. So yeah, if he comes here, that'll be unfortunate. But if he comes here, we'll be able to block him off from a lot of our more valuable territories. With our Titan. Now there is sort of a wild card here. Niflheim has moved like a pretty large army here of like mostly just undead troops onto our border. And so yeah, I was pretty concerned. Like when I first saw this turn, I was like, oh, this maybe a 2v1, actually a 3v1. But I got in touch with Niflheim. I was like getting ready to prepare some sort of desperate defense. But yeah, I got in touch with Niflheim, and he is indeed, bringing this force up. He's getting attacked by, I think, Vanheim from the south here, or this might be due to an elfing. I'm not actually sure where Vanheim is, but yeah, he's getting attacked by Vanheim and Ubar. So he's also in a 2v1. So yeah, he's pretty busy as well right now, and this force is not destined for our lands, thankfully. Because a 2v1, I think we can handle, hopefully. 3v1 would be real bad news. That would probably be curtains. And I don't actually have a nap with Niflheim yet either. So yeah, it's possible that he's just lying to me, but yeah, considering that we see a Vanheim flag, that popped up here, it seems pretty plausible that his hands are full. So yeah, probably this is not our problem. Certainly not in the immediate future. So yeah, so just pulling everybody out, doing some research to get our Titan the research that the spells that it needs, and then yeah, we gave her the spear, but we're forging this Mace of Eruption. So yeah, I guess my past self also agreed that the spear was not the best choice. And let's see here, the mace is sort of like a weaker frost brand or fire brand. It's only, I think, it's a 10 gem item, so that's kind of rough. And it does like an AoE, like fire damage, but yeah, I think it just doesn't quite deal as much damage as the brands, and it's more expensive, I believe, than the frost brand. So yeah, so it's just kind of not as great, but it's available earlier. So it's what we have the research for, and it's still pretty solid at like clearing out like groups of kind of more chaffy units. Not that like Alm's national troops are necessarily like chaff, but larger hordes of weaker units. So yeah, so we're going to be giving that to her, and then yeah, otherwise I think probably just sticking with this gear. So yeah, so we've got her up to protection 30, which is pretty good. Now there's definitely still like those Almish Sacreds and a few other troops definitely can cut through this protection, but it'll be largely mitigated, and they're going to be getting poisoned the whole time, and she's going to be regenerating, so I think she'll be in good shape, hopefully. We'll see. So yeah, and then forging like a little bit of other gear here for our other Polomarks that are coming out. We're continuing to recruit Polomarks along with just like some Peltasts, a few Gigantes. Switching over to the more like armored versions, the more heavily armored versions, yeah, protection 21. So that's not going to be as good against Alm's troops, but just generally speaking, I think these guys are better to have if you can get them, because they don't cost any more upkeep than the other ones. The main downside is slower combat speed, lower map move. But yeah, I think it's probably worth the trade-off of getting that extra protection. So yeah, doing that for our recruitment. Kind of pushing some scouts around, hopefully going to get sight, assuming that the bull or the unknown army that may or may not exist doesn't show up on the capital this turn. It'll probably be headed back, so it'd be nice to see it ahead of time. So yeah, pushing the scouts out that direction. And let's see, what do we have for research? Going up to enchantment 3. So 2 is going to get us that personal regeneration. 3, I think, let's see, Strength of Giants will be kind of nice, but I think we are mostly doing it for Fire Shield. So Fire Shield is going to damage attackers, and it's something that really like most of our mages can cast. But most importantly, it's something that our Polemarchs can cast like pretty easily. So it's Fire 1, they have Fire 2, and so that's just going to provide them like some extra damage to help cut through like swarms of attackers. And since we're already going up to enchantment 2 for the regeneration, I figured, well, might as well just grab that while we're here, and since we're close. So yeah, I think that covers turn 14. All right, Mekone, turn 15. We finished research and enchantment for level 2 for personal regeneration, and moving on to 3, which we discussed. We have quite a few prophet declarations, and then yeah, we have some battles. So this is us going up just against the independent militia, so we can just speed through this. These guys should be able, honestly, like the Bone Tribe, I don't know, this is a lot of militia, but yeah, the Bone Tribe might be able to take it themselves, but you can see like, yeah, so we are losing some Bone Tribe, but no problem for our Polemarch, so that's good. Yeah, lost a couple Bone Tribe, but yeah, this is good, but expected, yeah, pretty much anything can beat 20 militia, just about. And then, yeah, it looks like didn't move to the province, that Path of Many Woods, I think it was. And yeah, it's just wiping out the neighboring province, minimal PD, he's going to have no problem there. Yeah, so yeah, that's the one Peltas that I forgot to pick up. So yeah, that continues to march on, but it's good that it didn't move to Path of Many Woods. We'll talk about in a second. But yeah, we had a battle on Hinnom. So let's take a look and see if he patrolled or what the story is. So yeah, this just looks like PD to me. Certainly there aren't like a bunch of mages. Possibly some of these swordsmen are, actually like recruited troops. But in these numbers, I think we're going to have no problem here. We might lose, a few Peltasts as ever. Really the standard Mekonian battle plan. Always lose a few Healit Peltasts. But maybe not, because they don't... No, wait, yeah, there are a few arrows going back there. These giant archers are pretty good. Archers, they're not fantastic. But yeah, these guys do a lot of damage. And they have this great bow, which has like really good range. And yeah, if you get tagged with one of these, like unless you're a giant, then you're probably gonna die. So anyway, these archers are pretty good, and definitely scarier than normal. But their troops are just too badly outnumbered. And ours are much better. So yeah, I don't think there's too many losses here. So yeah, that was all PD. We lost one hoplite, so one human hoplite. So that's fine. This is actually really good news, because now we've managed to eliminate the PD, while not having to fight his forces as well as his mages. And I was surprised that he chose not to patrol, but I mean there may be reasons for that, right? He's trying to hit some kind of research goal that's going to make his mages a lot more effective in combat. Or he may be waiting for an army or his bull to get back, and decided to sacrifice the PD, rather than risk facing off with just part of his army. And then yeah, we had some unexpected events. We got another lab, so that's probably good. I think I forgot to check where that previous lab showed up, so we'll take a look at both of these labs. And gain an enchanted pike, that's cool. That's actually kind of good for repelling. It's a really long weapon. And then yeah, got some gems, that's nice. And then yeah, got some gems. So yeah, and this is probably, let's take a look. So moderately damaged, right? So there are some soldiers in there, as we saw. But this is still pretty good. There's not a ton of troops in there. He didn't manage to like sneak in a huge army or anything like that, I would guess, from the look of this. So yeah, let's take a look at some of these provinces here. Okay. So yeah, so the labs actually showed up right next to each other, and you can see like luck 2, so this is probably luck influenced, hard to say. This is not the worst place, to have the lab. Indie natures, or indie nature mages would be nice to have, but probably don't want it here. I don't know, we'll see, because ideally we do want these Bone Tribe, because we do really want indie death. And then this actually works out pretty well. Now, unfortunately, this is the province that we took from Marverni, which, you know, he did ask us to take from Hinnom, but theoretically we'll be returning it to him at some point. Probably I will try to negotiate some sort of trade, you know, where I give up, you know, some Hinnom province here or here, somewhere, anywhere but here, you know, in return for keeping this, because this is a lizard province. So yeah, these guys are great. They're really just solid mages in general. You know, they're not too expensive, and then their upkeep is pretty good because they're sacred. So then they're going to carry your bless, which doesn't really matter so much for us in this case because we don't have a mage bless. But yeah, they're astral and nature, and those are both paths that like Mekone doesn't have access to natively. So absolutely do want a fort here. Would like a fort in general. Yeah, that would probably be good. You know, it's turn 15, no infrastructure. Oh look, yeah, here's some infrastructure. I'll just take this infrastructure. But anyway, in terms of actually building forts, this would really be a good spot. And so it's great that we got a lab here, because that's some infrastructure that, you know, we don't have to build. So this lab, you know, kind of so-so, you know, okay luck. But like this lab, absolutely, like this is really lucky. This is cool. Can't take advantage of it just yet because we have other problems. So yeah, so this is where the Almish army ended up, which is good news because now, you know, our Titan is ready to move out and is moving out. So she's bringing a ton of peltasts with her, which is a little risky because they might generate like an HP route. But I'm kind of okay with that. Like, it's fine if we lose the battle. I'm pretty sure Titans, or sorry, not just Titans, but Pretender gods can't be killed in retreats, I believe. It's certainly very unlikely. And if we temporarily lose this province, like, that's fine. Just because of like how this Titan is with her poison cloud, like even if she loses, she's also incredibly slow. She's not fast, you know, just by default. And then, you know, we slapped a bunch of really heavy armor on her, so like now she's, you know, even slower. So like, yeah, this is incredibly slow, so it's very unlikely that she'll be able to escape off the battlefield anyway. So it's probably gonna be kind of do or die for her regardless. Now, I mean, it is dangerous because, you know, I mean, her skills are gonna get a lot worse. But again, she kind of just needs to sit there and regenerate, and then, you know, her protection isn't going to change because she's routing, and the poison cloud is going to keep working. So it kind of doesn't matter if she routes. And so, yeah, I mean, all these peltasts are just going to provide other targets for the Almish troops to attack. And I mean, their javelins and everything are going to deal solid damage. Like these peltasts, you know, 60 peltasts, they're not going to stop that Almish army, but they'll absolutely inflict casualties on it. And like, you know, tie up a lot of aggression for a while, you know, which will help ensure, like, really the only way that she goes down is if, like, say, like, she gets completely surrounded by like just the Almish sacreds, or maybe like those Iron Warriors, and even then she might be okay. So as long as some of them get distracted for part of the combat, you know, while the other chunk of the army goes after her, and, you know, she manages to kill them off with a poison cloud, you know, and then by the time these peltasts rout, like, that's fine. And even if she starts routing, right, but the Almish army hasn't, you know, the rest of the Almish army is probably going to come down, you know, and try to re-surround her, but then just die to the poison cloud. So it can be a bit of a risk bringing, you know, a bunch of chaff like this when you want to use, you know, anything like as a super combatant, because, you know, the loss of the chaff will cause the super combatant to run, which will cause, you know, the loss of the battle and possibly the loss of the super combatant, depending on how they're built. But I think in this case, I hope in this case, it's going to be fine. So yeah, and she's positioned way out in front and kind of away from the peltasts because she absolutely will poison our own guys, and she's incredibly slow. So even all the way forward, like, she's probably going to make contact significantly after these peltasts. And then we just have like a few bone tribe because, like, sure, whatever, we have them, throw them in. So anyway, yeah, she's moving here, and we've also done a solid PD dump. And, you know, this PD is like pretty meh. You know, at least these light infantry are the better ones, and they have javelins, so that's cool. But, you know, like, yeah, just militia, like regular archers, like light infantry. This is not a great place. This is not a great PD type to PD dump in. But like it's a solid place because as long as he doesn't attack here, honestly, like this protects like really most of our valuable provinces. So it's like if he goes and like raids up in these places, like not like, you know, this is income 11, income 19, income 7, 12. Like, okay, we have a slave market here where we're getting like blood slaves from, you know, which is nice. But like the loss of this land, like temporarily, is fine, you know. So like even if this move like forces him away, you know, that I would definitely prefer that. And then, you know, if he does decide to attack, great, I think we can win that combat. Now he does have another stack here, and this one's looking a little scarier. So he's got mainly warriors, you know, which is just a solid, it's almost like national troops. The Iron Warriors, who are like the Maul guys, two-handed, they are a threat, definitely. And the Steel Warriors, also, those are sacreds, are a threat. So this stack is looking a bit scarier, you know, it's not filled with like a bunch of archers. You see the fluctuation on that scout report, like, yeah, okay, it was 70 last turn, now it's saying 140. I think it's like right at 100. So yeah, you get quite a bit of fluctuation on those scout reports. You shouldn't always believe that. So, you know, maybe 70, maybe more. And then, yeah, it's also commanded by his god. So this Keeper of the Bridge is also a Titan chassis. So that could be a little concerning, and honestly, like maybe a reason to bring the Godslayer Spear up for her. We're sticking with the mace for now. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But certainly a Titan could threaten our Titan, depending on how their Titan is kitted. Because, you know, he's going to deal enough damage and have enough strength to really, you know, pose a danger, especially, you know, if he gets up with, you know, a bunch of steel warriors. Like that could start to get really problematic, especially like if he's got, you know, some poison resistance gear or something like that. So yeah, we'll see about that. That could be a little risky. But, you know, we're hoping to take this fight here. So hopefully he attacks this province and we crush this army. But if he raids around, you know, in our kind of less valuable provinces, that's not the end of the world. And also, we're just going to go ahead and move this guy in and counter raid. I'm assuming he's not going to stay put with this army. You know, I mean, usually when you're attacking, like, you know, you want to continue to capture provinces. There's no real reason for him to just hang out in this province. So, yeah, hopefully this guy will manage to, you know, recapture this territory behind him. You know, on any enemy army that's, like, deep in enemy territory and doesn't have any retreat paths, it's a dangerous place to be in. So, you know, if he comes and takes this battle here, now he could retreat here. So it's not the end of the world. But depending on the moves that this army makes, because I know a lot of almost troops can go through these mountain passes, so it may come right here. You know, we may be able to start cutting them off. And anyway, regardless, you know, we'll be able to start counter raiding. Now, it is possible that he just, you know, goes after this province here and we bump, and then we're going to lose this guy. But, you know, I mean, that's life. He doesn't really have, like, a great move to make from here. You know, he could start making his way down to, like, Hinnom's territory, which maybe would be it certainly would be a safer move, I think, at this point. But, yeah, right now, so as far as Hinnom is concerned, they do have, like, additional forces down here, but it's not looking too threatening. It's more Avite swordsmen, and those are solid units, but then it's just sort of, you know, some random stuff that he's managed to recruit that really shouldn't be a problem. So it's kind of looking like Hinnom doesn't really actually have too much, and that Ulm might actually end up being the bigger threat. So it's kind of why this guy is moving in, you know, to start some counter raiding against Ulm. But anyway, yeah, so as far as this army here, we're not going to hang out. We're going to go after this right away, because if we can destroy this army, I would say that the war is basically over, assuming that we still haven't found his bull. So yeah, that's still a bit of a wild card. But I mean, it's possible that he doesn't have it anymore. You know, I mean, the monster pretender gods definitely can die. So yeah, and you know, I mean, we haven't seen it for a while, so I don't know where the heck it could be. But yeah, if he doesn't have that, and like this, you know, this is his last army, which it probably is, and we destroy this, then I'd say the war is basically over. So we're gonna go for it. I would prefer to fight it like here in this province rather than on his capital, because we know he has some soldiers in his capital, and he can sally out with those as well as his casters. In an effort to combine all these forces and fight like a big battle on top of his capital. So we definitely prefer to just fight this army on its own, like out here. It's possible he PD dumps, but probably unlikely. He's not going to be making hardly any money. And yeah, I'm not really expecting a PD dump here. So yeah, and then we're leaving. Let's see here. What do we have? Whoops, yeah, we're not moving any units. Yeah, we're just leaving one Peltast here just to, keep Hinnom under siege. So if he doesn't break out for whatever reason, then yeah, this guy will just, hold the fort under siege. If he does choose to break out with anything, well, it's kind of a tough life being a Helit Peltast for Mekone. So yeah. And it's possible, the movement mechanics, it's somewhat randomized. So, if he chooses to move into the capital, right, and I'm choosing to move out here, do we fight on the capital? Do we fight in this province? There's somewhat random chance. I have heard that generally the larger army, gets to make its move, and I believe we have the larger army, so probably we will fight the battle here, is my hope. So yeah, so this is looking good still. Certainly there's a risk. At least we know it's pretty unlikely that the bull is going to be able to reach this combat if it is still out there. Now, it might be able to reach this combat, but we won't have to face the bull, this army, his forces and mages from the capital. So that's at least good. We may have to face all of his forces and mages on the capital, but hopefully we're just going to, be able to fight him piecemeal. And certainly we've already destroyed the capital PD piecemeal, which is really good news. So yeah, continuing to do a little site searching here, with our independent mage as he just sort of works his way back to the capital, where we want to, kind of keep him safe for a little while because this is our only astral guy. So it's a little risky just having him out here by himself, but, it's more efficient having him search on the way, and hopefully he didn't find anything here, but, you never know. Maybe he'll find the Library of Time. We'll probably end up having to research this territory with a site searching spell, because level 1 probably isn't even good enough to find the Library of Time, but, a little bit of astral income would be nice. And then let's see here. Yeah, continuing to recruit Polomarchs, a bit out of gold at the moment, as ever. Let's see here. Where is our gold going? Not sure, because we're just getting the Polomarch as far as I know. Certainly losing this province immediately, right? This makes a lot of money. Far and away, other than our capital, this contributes most of our income outside of our capital. So yeah, losing this, again, having it on the border was rough, but it's just luck of the draw. So yeah, would like to recapture it. Again, this is another reason that having this guy start to move out against Ulm. Now he is going to be trying to filter reinforcements through here, so how much we'll be able to hold on to this, we'll see. But if we can win the battle here against this force, ideally we would just sit our Titan right here, right? And then honestly maybe even just build a fort here and build up, and then just try to hold Ulm at arm's length while we finish off Hinnom and then direct our full efforts against Ulm. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. Let's see, research is pretty much the same. So after enchantment, we did add alteration 3 and 4, which are going to be good for our Polomarchs. There's a few other useful things, but mostly we're looking at Iron Skin, which is just an improved Stone Skin, basically. There are trade-offs between the two spells, but this just grants better protection. So generally you want Iron Skin over Stone Skin, not always. And then level 4 is going to get us Temper Flesh, which just, yeah, I think it says highly, I think it halves physical damage, from all normal physical damage types, and yeah, a little bit of fire resistance never hurts. So anyway, with those two spells and Fire Shield, our Polomarchs will be pretty tough to take down. Now that said, the Almish troops do hit so hard that they will be able to punch through. So it's going to be a little dangerous using our Polomarchs against them. And in retrospect, I think this was probably the wrong research priority. I think that, this is not a bad research priority for Mekone generally, because it's just going to make their, polo marks like really useful and pretty good. So, you certainly do want this kind of research for them. But against like masses of hard-hitting human troops like that, trying to thug into that and get your protection up and everything is a pretty tall order. So I think probably some evocation research would have been preferable in this case. And really just probably using them like as casters, just doing like some AoE, like, fire magic and stuff like that, arguably would have been better against like masses of almost troops. But, right now we're pretty focused on building up our polo marks, and, this is going to be useful research for us. So yeah, that's where we're headed down for now. And I think that covers turn 15.